presentation was paid for by CGTN. The opinions, views, and claims expressed are those of CGTN and may not necessarily reflect those of CNBC.
Economy, innovation, culture, exploration. Discover the vibrant pulse of China's economy and dive into the rich tapestry of its culture. Embark on a journey of exploration with Meet China. Here, your journey begins.
Hello everyone and welcome to Meet China. I'm Lily Lu. We're coming to you today from the vibrant city of Wuhan in central China. It is an economic and cultural hub. The city sits on the confluence of the Yangtze and Han rivers, and right behind me is the great Yangtze River Bridge. It is an iconic landmark and a remarkable feat of engineering. Today, I will share with you 3 fascinating stories that showcase how technological innovation is changing different aspects of China. We start with the SciBar, which is a new consumption trend, and then we dive into some of the cutting-edge technologies that are applied in construction. And finally, we'll scale the Great Wall of China to understand what it feels like to be a guardian of this cultural treasure. Let's kick things off with bars. Many of us enjoy a light-hearted gathering with friends in bars after work. And in the past year, a unique kind of bar is taking traction in China's major cities. It's called a SciBar, short for Science in a Bar. It involves getting people in a bar to discuss scientific and professional topics. Now join us as we explore some of those bars to understand the logic behind it and perspective of this trendy phenomenon.
Academic bar. Have you ever heard of it before? From the Symposium by Plato describing the ancient Greeks who gathered for drinking and discussions of philosophy, to Hemingway's favorite haunt, the legendary Sloppy Jones Bar, academic bars have time-honored storied history. In 2014, the British Science Association built up a non-profit project, Science in a Bar, the SciBar, which has become the viral tag on Chinese social media since this summer. This is not a lecture or seminar in a college campus. With some alcohol, these young men are cupping knowledges in the bars, covering laws, science, philosophy, and more subjects. And this academic bar located in the Wudaokou area in Beijing has become the haunt for students from many top universities after school.
We are from Tsinghua University studying education.
This is also a new way of education that we need pay attention to.
The academic bar is actually a process of reinventing a lot of elements of the faculty and students.
In academic bars, I don't have specific purposes and I don't even need to concentrate for the whole process. It's just for me to escape from the routine life and expand my horizons.
The bar is for the emotional part of our lives, and the campus's lectures belong to the rational parts.
It feels like I've truly gone back to my school days.
Zhang Yi is the owner of this bar. With his partner Wang Tiejun, they have held nearly 20 events for academic bars so far.
We started our academic bar events in June. For the first event, we welcomed over 20 attendees, which was unexpected. Our average number for attendees is about 60. For today, we have over 120 people registered.
We can call it the Street Academy, which I think is a cool term. Actually, it is a microcosm of learning for all in China. With young people's innovative thinking and the trend of internet mobile learning, learning methods can be diversified and more flexible.
And for Professor Wang Hongbo, the speaker for this day's event, this is the 3rd time for him to give the speech in a SciBar.
I prefer to reach out more young men in such an occasion. The important thing is that I focus on the attendees' eyes. I could see their thirst for knowledge in the eyes from students in the SciBars. This form is much free and relaxed to let more people could learn from the topics they are really interested in.
And in Shanghai, the city with bistro culture, was the origin place of the SciBars in China. Different from the Universe Salon in Wudaokou, the academic bar in Shanghai called Freedom Island Club gathers more young white-collar workers. The cost has also changed from no threshold consumption to a ticket with 128 yuan at least. The topics of today's two lectures are AI and architecture. Both speakers, Wang Yuge and Dai Ping, are the related practitioners.
I think AI-related contents need to be shared and spread. Personally, I prefer offline communication and interaction. Academic bars offer more interesting ways for me to interact with my audiences, which is appealing.
I think the SciBar for me is more like the talk shows in the third space rather than academic activities. In fact, it is closely related to the rat race and the anxiety of younger generation currently. SciBars for me are more about the eclecticism. It's neither an academic place nor a bar.
As the organizer, Liu Zheng's main business is community operations. He organizes academic bars in his spare time, and he focuses more on its clientele and further opportunities.
Our clientele is mainly in the 25 to 35 age group, and they usually come here to decompress and expand their social circle. Our original intention is to help people build more social links through academic bridges. As the community gradually expands, more business development models can be explored.
According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, with the development of society and upgrades of people's material life and education level, more individuals tend to pursue the satisfaction of cognitive and aesthetics needs. So what are really behind the SciBar, and will it can really go far?
At the SciBar in Shanghai, I met with a girl who's a teacher from Shanghai Jiaotong University. She told me that their professor Zhang Yi had recommended her to experience academic bars.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs mentions the need for a sense of belonging, where academic bars provide the emotional value of belonging and identity to groups such as students and white-collar workers. From the perspective of supply, it may be difficult for academic bars to provide continuous high-quality contents. The academic output also may be difficult to guarantee. To become a sustainable business, it needs professional investors and operational institutions to create greater operating value with long-term cash flow income and stable profits.
And when I walked into the bunker, a pioneer club of the SciBars in China, the owner declined to be interviewed. Their social media profile also explicitly refuses to be defined as the SciBar, but related events are still taking place.
Yet, it makes things more interesting when some toe dippers are eager to get benefits from the SciBars, while the pioneer one has already torn off the label.
Even the activities are in full swing. The owners have to admit that there are still many challenges, and the impact on their bar's overall profits is limited.
We didn't set out to make money. Academic bars are relatively unprofitable. However, due to the relative stability of our customer and academic resources, our activities are still sustainable. We have already scheduled our events for the March next year.
Data from Meituan platform show that since October this year, the searches for academic bar have increased by 142% on a yearly basis.
Initially, it is valuable to our society. I'm going to keep doing the SciBars. An optimistic sign is that more and more people will participate, and the more participants there are, the more likely the academic bar will survive.
The SciBars, it's good to learn something, but if not, it's still not bad. More attendees are coming, more reflection and discussions are happening here, and maybe that's the real point of it.
This presentation was paid for by CGTN. The opinions, views, and claims expressed are those of CGTN and may not necessarily reflect those of CNBC.
Imagine building a new hospital with 800 beds in just 4 months' time. Sounds unbelievable, right? But thanks to tech innovation, this has become a reality in Hong Kong. Besides this eye-popping speed, technologies like this applied in construction can help to make buildings greener. Those tech innovation is helping to bring architecture closer to its environment, to people than never before.
There are always new architecture trends on the horizon. Modular construction, smart material, 3D printing. But no one can deny the biggest one for this age, is green. More trees starts to climb up the buildings in Singapore, Milan, Shanghai, and Chengdu, which makes me think of the legendary hanging gardens of Babylon, which are often imagined as the palace of terraces containing numerous trees and exotic flowers. So what exactly is the green architecture we really need? Let me clarify first. No such Babylon gardens have ever been found in excavations in Mesopotamia. But that's never prevented them from inspiring architects with one idea or another of green architecture.
Combining nature and high-density urban space is a process known as urban rewilding, or the renaturalization of cities, which has gained popularity in the international arena. This concept represents a return to sustainable practices and serves as a sustainable solution.
Meet this city's first near-zero energy office building, with less than 1/3 of a typical building's energy consumption and more than 18% of renewable energy usage.
This building and the surrounding lake area are actually a transition, penetration, and continuation of nature, seamlessly blending into their environment.
Around the world, debates surround those rewilding buildings, because keeping a building green is not that green. Sometimes it costs more.
60% of the ground floor is paved with permeable materials, allowing for rainwater recycling and saving 1,700 tons of water annually. The recycled water can be used for the irrigation of the overall greening. The south side of the building, the side facing the sun, adopts intelligent drip irrigation.
But a green building is not just about creating a vegetation cover in a more sustainable way. It's more about cutting greenhouse gases. A building pumps out carbon in every phase of its existence. From the moment a rock is jackhammered out of the mountainside, until the day 60 or 100 years later when workers strip it for parts and pack the waste off.
You can see the shadows through the glass here, and there are many, which means that this glass is twice as functional as regular glass.
Zhongpeng's job is to squeeze out every possible gram of carbon emission of this building, taking advantage of the power of design.
我们建筑的3个门类，范围1直接碳排放，那范围2就是我们热电厂。
When it comes to carbon emissions, we categorize them into 3 scopes. Scope 1 is direct carbon emissions. Scope 2 refers to indirect carbon emissions from heat and electricity usage. And Scope 3 refers to the sinking carbon emission. And its biggest source is carbon dioxide produced during the manufacturing of building materials. In fact, the biggest carbon emission comes from those that maintain the operation of the buildings, which accounts for about 2/3 of our carbon emissions.
If the breaking point is electricity, rooftop solar panels can help a bit. In this case, they work with battery storage to offer 10%. However, a once-and-for-all approach is to generate electricity in the grid all through renewable energy. That requires a society-wide phase-out of fossil fuel, which is apparently out of the hands of architects. But their innovation can still keep the building working on a shrinking carbon budget.
我们建筑减少碳排放、降低碳排放最重要的一块。
The most important thing we can do to reduce carbon emissions is to use less energy and electricity, enhancing thermal resistance ability of the building.
To reduce energy use, architects decide to borrow some from nature.
就是我们通常讲，希望节能建筑，它是一个规整的形状。
We normally hope that energy-saving buildings are designed with regular facades to minimize energy exchange with the external environment. But in this case, we believe that isolating energy within the periphery may not be ideal. Instead, we advocate energy exchange between the buildings and its surroundings by increasing its external surface area. When the blocks are recombined, new surface areas in contact with the outside world will appear at the top and bottom of the building to meet the demand for more light. At the same time, it will create some side and center court relationships, some vertical air ducts to assist in taking away the heat.
当我们的这个室外的气流穿过这个建筑的时候，你多一些这个体型上头的错动，其实是有多一些这个风穿入到建筑，进入到建筑。
When the airflow from the outdoors goes through the building, more structural misalignment of the building will allow more wind to penetrate into the building. 9 skylights positioned in the middle of these blocks act as chimneys to draw out hot air and eliminate the need for air conditioning.
This unique design can not only reduce electricity when we use the building, but also reduce carbon emissions when we build it. If you rearrange those buildings, you will find they're actually identical. They are modules made in a factory.
在我们这个第3办公区呢，体现在我们这栋楼的装配率是84%。
In our third office area, we have achieved an assembly rate of 84%. Prefabricated construction requires a high level of standardization to maximize energy efficiency and fully leverage its advantages. While it has a visually appealing appearance, this building is based on standardized designs that prioritize savings.
But there is still the carbon budget that is out of the hands of architects, like the mass production of steel and cement. From construction to using, buildings are responsible for 37% of global carbon emissions and 34% of energy demand, despite the huge technological advances.
The pace of technological advancement, in fact, cannot keep up. What is more important is to reduce the frequency of construction and demolition activities.
The lessons from this avant-garde architecture will be applied to Zhong's old office building. The facade has been redesigned to introduce wind and reduce reliance on air conditioning, and to create more structures for vegetation and solar panels. But for an existing building, architects rely on hard technology.
The gas-fired boilers are directly replaced by electric air source heat pumps, which are a renewable energy source that directly takes over heat and cold air for use in the building. This switch reduces carbon dioxide emissions to zero, especially during winter months, when gas boilers are not required.
The true green building may not look that green, but the green is in the new technology, new designs, and new ideas.
This presentation was paid for by CGTN. The opinions, views, and claims expressed are those of CGTN and may not necessarily reflect those of CNBC.
The Great Wall, one of the world's most remarkable cultural wonders, has stood for thousands of years in weaving new stories into its history. A group of young volunteers have formed a service team dedicated to protect this cultural iconic. So what do their role entail? Let's find out.
The sunset this evening should be absolutely perfect.
Yang Dong is a photographer. Now in his 30s, he began documenting the Great Wall of China in 2015, using his lens to tell the story of this World Heritage Site.
If I'm lucky, I'll catch a fiery sunset. Wait for it. Over the past 9 years, I've taken approximately 700,000 photos of the Great Wall and recorded 200 terabytes of video. I've traveled nearly 200,000 kilometers.
Yang Dong is tracing history with his footsteps and capturing it with his lens. At sunrise and sunset each day, he is to be seen witnessing the Great Wall in its silent splendor.
From on top of the Great Wall, just the natural beauty is breathtaking. Contrasted with this massive structure lining a ridge, you can only imagine how impressive it is.
The Great Wall was built over a 2,000-year period, beginning in the Spring and Autumn and Warring States periods. As the largest linear cultural heritage site in the world, it's an architectural marvel. More than that, it's woven into the fabric of Chinese civilization and holds profound emotional meaning for the Chinese nation.
When I photograph the Great Wall, I try to capture not only the scenery, but also the spirit it embodies, and which inspires me with determination.
Today, when technology and culture are advancing hand in hand, science is inspiring new thinking on the preservation of cultural heritage. A new chapter is being opened in the conservation of the Great Wall. In early autumn 2024, Zhang Yi and his colleague returned to Shijiazhe village, located at the foot of the Jiankou section of the Great Wall on the outskirts of Beijing. From here, they plan to head to sections 119 and 120 of the Great Wall, which are under repair. The quickest way there involves an hour-long climb up a steep mountain path. The Jiankou section is among the most famous and treacherous stretches of the Great Wall. Dating from the Ming Dynasty, it has withstood the test of time and relentless erosion by wind and rain. But now, it's in urgent need of protection and repair. Initial emergency repairs began 8 years ago, in 2016. Zhang Yi and his colleague are working on the 5th phase of the project.
In the most recent phases of the restoration work, we've been guided by the principle of minimal intervention. It means that, having addressed the safety risks to the Great Wall, we focus on maintaining its original state, including the vegetation growing along it.
Zhang Yi is an engineer based at Peking University's School of Archaeology and Museology. In his restoration and protection work, he makes use of the latest technology.
Digital recording is essential at every stage of this project. We photograph every other meter from various angles, producing 1,000 to 2,000 images of a single section of the wall. Using these images, we generate a real-time computer model of the wall's current state.
Digital technology allows the restoration workers to create a highly precise 3D digital model of the Great Wall. With this, they can assess its condition along with that of the surrounding vegetation and rocks.
Our work isn't merely protecting the Great Wall itself. It has wider significance. It reflects how people today perceive the Great Wall and how we're maintaining it, so it can be passed on to future generations.
From China to Peru, from the Great Wall to Machu Picchu, in the careful preservation of every brick and stone, the legacy of civilization is being continued.
Well, they all have something to say.
Come, come!
I'm Zhu Haiban, a protector of the Great Wall.
I'm Liu Hongyan, a protector of the Great Wall.
Hello, Great Wall.
We all share responsibility for protecting the Great Wall.
Marcos is a young Peruvian. His desire to preserve civilization has brought him to Shixia village at the foot of the Great Wall in Badaling, on the outskirts of Beijing.
My experience in China has taught me a lot. I've made a lot of connections with the people here and in the area. I've been interested in China since I was little.
The first person Marcos visited was Mei Jingtian. He was one of the original Shixia residents who became a protector of the Great Wall.
Come in, please.
Hello, I'm Marcos. What's your name?
Mei Jingtian.
In 2007, Mei Jingtian started the tradition among the villagers of volunteering to patrol the Great Wall. he began going out for 5 hours a day, taking with him a sickle and a camera. But Mei Jingtian is 88 now and struggles to climb the wall. Younger people have taken over patrol duties, but he still climbs up to a vantage point in the village every day to gaze at the Great Wall. Marcos's next stop is the Shexia Pass. This is one part of the Great Wall that the residents of Shexia have traditionally guarded.
Many people want to climb the Great Wall. I know it's not very easy.
Have you heard the famous saying, "He who has never been to the Great Wall is not a true man"?
Haibin is around the same age as Marcos. He's also from Shexia village. He and his fellow volunteers are responsible for 10 kilometers of the Great Wall, which they patrol every day.
Do you climb the mountain every day?
Yes, every day.
Every day?
Yes, every day. This is the wild Great Wall.
Shexia Pass on the Great Wall was originally built during the Ming Dynasty. 20 years ago, the villagers formed a volunteer team to protect this World Cultural Heritage Site on their doorstep. They've kept the initiative going ever since. The work mainly involves mundane tasks, such as picking up rubbish, clearing weeds, and photographing dangerous sections of brick. For Marcos, who's new to the work, it's quite a challenge.
It's not easy. It was harder than I thought. I think the view is worth it.
It's like the Great Wall, the most important landmarks in our countries.
China has the Great Wall, and Peru has Machu Picchu. They're both national symbols. The distance doesn't separate them. They're closely connected because they share similar characteristics. They stand for the traditions, the culture, the civilization, and the resilience of their respective nations, for the essence of their rich cultures, as well as the cooperation between them. They're important not only for China and Peru, but also for the world.
And with that, I'm wrapping up this edition of Meet China. I hope you have enjoyed the journey as much as I did. And in next week's episode, we're bringing even more fascinating stories to showcase China's unique blend of tradition and innovation. I'm Lulu. I see you next week.
Discover the potential. Witness the opportunities. Experience dazzling exhibitions and captivating events. Explore groundbreaking innovations and future-shaping industries. Stand at the crossroads where the cities of tomorrow meet timeless traditions. Meet China, where every story is a new discovery.
This presentation was paid for by CGTN. The opinions, views, and claims expressed are those of CGTN and may not necessarily reflect those of CNBC.